Hello, and welcome to the Pride Lands of Lioness Ink and Insight, a den for honest conversations about creativity, identity, the beautifully chaotic experience of being human, and the occasional feral moment, because sometimes that's the most truthful part. I'm your host, Angelia N. Bailey, author, graphic designer, mom, emotional gremlin with a purpose, and someone who has a lot of thoughts about, well, everything. Thanks for stepping into the den with me. Grab a drink, get comfortable, and welcome to the Pride.
Fuck being a princess, I'd rather be a witch. Trade that throne for a flame and a twitch. You got roots, I got roots. You wear flats, I wear boots. Fuck being a princess.
Today's episode is a grounded, honest conversation about misconceptions surrounding kink and the kink community, why those misconceptions and performative kink can be harmful, and what resources actually exist for people who want to learn responsibly. Education is the path to safer, healthier kink dynamics and ethical kink relationships. Joining me for this important conversation is Rising Action publisher Alexandria Brown, Mistress Bec, and Dom Buddha. I really appreciate all of you taking the time to help unpack the stereotypes and misconceptions we constantly see in our wonderful community. I hope this helps someone else find their way to healthy, ethical kink. To start us off, everyone give a warm welcome to Alexandria Brown. Okay, before we get into it, I'd love for you to introduce yourself in whatever way feels comfortable, including who you are in your day-to-day vanilla life, if that's something you're comfortable sharing.
Yeah, my name is Alex. I'm a publisher, and I have a PhD in creative writing. And yeah, I am here excited to talk.
Great. Well, can you share what your role in the kink community is and how long you've been a part of it and a bit about your experience?
Yeah, I have been a part of the kink community for about, I want to say 5 years now. And what was really interesting to me was how I really didn't realize like how much of an accepting community it is. And so I started more on like a femdom basis, but also, sex clubs, really big into voyeurism and swinging, threesomes, kind of a lot of things, I think.
I definitely understand that. I know when we talked previously, you had told me about Canada has some clubs that we do not have here in the States.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. We have lots of different kind of like sex clubs. We have like obviously bathhouses, but they're geared towards not just gay men anymore. It's kind of like everyone can come, everyone can swim if you want, or hook up in showers. But that's always something that's interesting to see.
The fun stuff.
The fun stuff.
So what misconceptions about kink do you think you see most often in the 5 years you've been in it?
Oh my gosh. Usually, so many. Mostly like that, like it's like so shallow. Like people are like, oh, well, obviously like it's just gonna be like a lot of older people, especially when it comes to like swinging. Or a lot of people always bring up, the fact that like, well, there must be like something wrong with you or your mental health or something like that. And it's like, no, just exploring like a shame, like a place without shame. It's like shame free.
Yeah.
That's kind of one of the things that I think people don't realize is how like the industry, or not industry, but the community is so different than what is presented like online. And it's usually presented as like kind of scary, and everyone's gonna force you to do things. And
Oh my
That never
gosh.
happens.
Yeah, no, there's so many fear-based narratives out there right now. And then the 50 Shades of Grey thing,
Oh my
I
gosh.
I cannot stand that. It gave such a huge misrepresentation of the entire community and scene. And I think I've been in the community
Yes.
myself about 15 years. And ever since then, the whole community has been flooded with people that are like, oh, I'm this and I'm that, but they don't even understand what that title they're claiming is.
Oh my gosh, totally. I've definitely seen that a lot too. And there's always those kink-based websites and like when someone's real or not.
And when they're like performing, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So why do you think those misconceptions are harmful, not just socially, but like to people actually practicing kink or even new people coming into kink?
I think anytime there's something that is trying to basically like shame a person, it's very harmful to the person's like mental health. People feel shamed and they won't explore their sexuality, and then it'll come out in like different ways, or people hide it and they never feel truly fulfilled, and then it comes out in mental health, as depression, or that there's something wrong with you. And it's just one of those things where you're like, well, nothing's wrong. Like, just because you want to explore your sexuality in a place that's safe, doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. And so it also leads to bullying and maybe even physical violence if people have these misconceptions that you know kink the kink community is just a bunch of freaks who are again there to just like sexually assault you or anything like that, make you like do things you don't want to do, when it's completely the opposite of what it actually is. And so it doesn't allow those people to have those moments of exploration, and you keep it inside and then it comes out in weird and wonderful ways. And mental health, you see it a lot. People are just feel so shamed for what they're interested in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the great things about the kink community is there's literally not anything you can't explore. And one of the things that make it safe compared to the fear narratives out there is even going to like a sex club like that, there's safety patrols going around. If you even look a little bit uncomfortable, they're approaching. Are you okay? Is everything all
Yes.
right? And then their
Yes.
consent is like the number one thing in communication. You always talk first. Are you comfortable with this? Are you comfortable with that? And there's safe
Yes.
words. If something's going on and you're not feeling right in the middle of a scene or middle of something going on, you put that safe word out there and everything comes to a halt. That's what I think
Completely.
people don't understand.
Oh my gosh, completely. And also that like safe sex is promoted continuously, like, and
Oh
there's
yeah.
condoms everywhere. And it's highly encouraged to get tested before you go, and right after, just to like keep making sure that everything is on the up and up. So yeah, and I think as a woman, or any as a female or female presenting, we all sometimes get nervous because there's single men or there's couples. And I think that we're the most protected by all of those things. So,
Yeah, absolutely. No, I completely agree. So what do you think is the difference, in your opinion, between practicing kink and performing it? This is the fun one.
yeah, that is a fun one. I think like performative kink is like it's kind of like the 50 Shades of Grey thing that you brought up already.
Yep.
We see the like Airbnbs pop up with like red rooms, and it's like, okay, like, and then that people are just going for like a laugh, but they're probably secretly interested in it. And I remember going
Yeah.
to like and I remember going to a sex club once, and there was like a group of ladies at a table, and you just like know that they're not there. They're there to watch, like to look and like be like, whoa, isn't that crazy what we saw at the club? And it's just like, that's the worst type of dynamic to have in a club, because then that's when people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, because we're
Because
almost
it's like,
treated like specimens being
exactly, or like a
observed.
zoo. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's not it. And you always know who they are. Like you can tell. And it looks like a little bit sometimes like a bachelorette party. And you're like,
Hmm.
okay.
Hmm.
But some of the clubs that I've been to are like very good at like weeding that out, and like having, membership only. And then practicing is like, it's something that's just a part of you. I think it's like, it's just not something that you rely on in the sense of like to make you seem different. It's just like you. Like there's nothing performative about it in that way. It's just like that's who you are, that's what you do. It's,
Kind of
you don't
like
have to
if
do it
you
all the
could,
time.
if like we could describe it to the vanilla people, it would be like dieting. Dieting is performing kink, and changing a lifestyle. That's the same thing as practicing kink. Practicing kink is a
Abs-
lifestyle. It's part of who you are.
Absolutely, exactly. And like, um, yeah, like true kink dynamics, um, would be like, yeah, there's like respect, and you just know like that you can always tell the people who are like pretty versed in it, even newbies. It's clear when they've like read things online, or like, obviously Fat Life is a big one, a big resource.
Hmm.
And so you always know when people have done that. Again, I'm just like picturing the club in my head right now, and so it's like you always know like the people who've been there before and who hasn't. Also, when people are messaging you online, like you just know, I think, once you've been in it for a bit. But like, I think like if you've done your research, if you've looked through things, it's really easy to find a dynamic that works for you. But also like kink dynamics change all the time. Like you don't have
Yeah.
to be like, I'm a sub and I'm a sub forever and that's all I'm ever gonna be. Because like I went from, yeah, like femdom to like switch. Like I'm definitely a switch now. And yeah, like it was, you also have those people who are like, oh, I'm gonna be like, I always laugh at these people. It's like, oh, I'm gonna be a fin dom because I just want to like get the financial aspect of it. I'm like, oh yeah, you don't know what it is. It's actually a lot of
Yeah.
hard work.
It's
And
not what it is.
yeah, exactly, exactly. So yeah, I think that's definitely important to for people when they come into the community.
So you've, which I completely agree. You listed off some of the true kink dynamics that you know. Can you
Mhm.
elaborate more on what those are for people who are listening who don't know what those are?
Yeah, so um for my own role, like I'm a switch, so that means that I am submissive or I'm dominant. It depends on my partner at the time. And so when you're with men, specifically straight men, a lot of the times they want to be dominant unless they're like exploring their kind of subbiness. And when you're a sub, it can be any type of submission, whether it's in the bedroom or out of the bedroom. I know a few dominatrix who have out of the bedroom subs who like are oh my gosh, I can't think of the word, but they like perform a whole service subs.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Perform like yeah, perform like a whole bunch of things for that her. Like they'll, shovel her driveway if it's snowing. They'll, make sure she has dinner. They'll clean her house in like a sexy maid outfit. And their whole thing is just really to serve their dom. Um I'm not mean enough to be a really full-time dom.
I'm the
Um,
same. I'm a
yeah,
switch too.
right. Right. Like, oh my God, so much like SPH, like small penis humiliation is so popular when you're a dom, and I just like feel bad. So I'm like, I'm so sorry. And then other things are like um oh my gosh, sorry, trying to think of things off the top of my head. Role play obviously is a big one
Yeah.
in the kink dynamic, and I love a good role play. I love a good like nurse outfit. Strangers one night stand with your partner is always a big hit. um and then with swinging, it's just two couples who swap partners. And finding that dynamic is really important because you have to define it up front, I find, because some people are looking for like polyamory. Some people are just looking for like a one night or a casual thing. And it's really about like what works for you. So polyamory would then be more so on the relationship side, but you see swinging couples do that sometimes.
Yeah, it's just about like communicating ahead of time what you're into. That's
Mhm.
again, communication and kink is key.
Always.
Yeah. And then, so one of the things I do want to address, because I know when people hear submissive, they're like, oh, well, that means you just do what you're told. No. Can you like elaborate more on like the submissive dynamics and what it means to be a submissive?
Yeah, like subs are always in control
Yep.
because as soon as a submissive says a safe word, everything is done. Like I think you said that earlier, like the scene is over and everyone, again, if you're uh really in the community, that's like number one. As soon as a safe word is said, everything is done. And so a submissive just gets off by being told what to do in certain situations. So some submissives, again, want to be of service. So they want to be told what to do. It's something that they feel like they're giving acts of service to their partner, or that the dom sometimes isn't their partner, but just their dom, but they're doing things that make her life easier, which is something that they love to do. I mentioned small penis humiliation. Some men or male presenting like a good SPH, as we call it. And even then, they're they're still in control. They can say the safe word at any point and you'll stop, but it is a bit of humiliation and degradation. But um, these are all done in a way that is what the submissive wants. And so you should have a pre-conversation about what the submissive wants, what the submissive is looking for, and always respect that and never go off script because you can do some real mental damage to a submissive if you don't do that,
Yeah.
if you don't follow it. With impact play, a submissive who likes to be spanked or floggers or paddle, again, they're really in control. So if something hurts or if they get to a point where they can't handle it anymore, they say a safe word and it's over. But again, you don't do um anything that they don't want. And in addition, you have to do aftercare afterwards. It's number one important when you're the dom. In that situation, you have to do what aftercare um, your submissive needs, because that's how that person comes back into their body, and how they feel cared for after. Sometimes it's snuggling, sometimes it's chatting about what had happened, sometimes it's hugs, kisses, sometimes it's food. It just depends on what that person needs. So they're really the ones in control. They tell you everything.
Yeah, and being a dom isn't just telling us up what to do either. It's so much
No.
more complex than that. I know that's one of like the biggest misconceptions with doms, especially since 50 Shades, is that a dom just orders a sub around. I had a guy even message me one time and was like, "I am your master. You will bow to me and do what I say."
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
Ew.
Nothing, no pre-messages before that or anything.
Oh my God, gross. I hate that. I hate
Yeah. I'm just like, that's not what being a dom is about.
No, that's when you're like, oh, this guy has no idea.
Yeah.
Like, go say that to a whole bunch of other people and see what they say, because they'll more than likely say, ew.
Oh yeah, no, I tear into those guys. I'm like, tell me what it means then. What do you think being
Yeah,
a dom means?
100%.
And they stumble over their feet and they end up apologizing by the end.
Always.
That's when like the
Always.
femdom part of me comes in. I'm just like, no, listen.
Yeah, yeah. Let me tell you how this is gonna go.
Exactly. Can you like elaborate a little bit more on like what being a dom is specifically, so that that misconception doesn't live there?
Yeah, I think like I often put the dom in the same role as like people always hate when I say this, but like a mother role, in the sense of like You're there to push someone to their extreme limits. You're kind of a mom, but you're also a therapist. And so
Yeah.
you're there to push someone to their extreme limits, while also caring a lot about them because you don't want to, again, go outside of the bounds of what they're looking for. And so it's something that someone's asked you to do. It's not something that you just, again, like you were just describing with that man saying that, like it's something that you were asked to do. And so um, that's all established ahead of time. And so really, yeah, the dom needs to know their like sub inside and out. And so you're part therapist, you're part mom a bit, you're part like friend. And it's not always sexual. I think that's one of the parts that people don't understand. Like there's sometimes no penetration, um, but there are different obviously aspects. But
Yeah.
a lot of the times, a dom is simply there to make someone feel like they are, you know, out of control, but also in control. It's a very weird dynamic in that way. And so, um, yeah, I think doms get a bad rep because it's like, oh, she's a bitch and she's mean and she's just like telling this person what to do. And it's like, no, like that's been discussed previously. And oftentimes doms get like synonymous, I can't say that today, with like, wearing just like a giant dildo and like fuck, like fucking dudes in the ass. And it's like, well, no, not unless they
Yeah.
want that. Like, so
Yeah.
yeah. So I think it's all of those things of just trying to, you know, um, to understand that like a dom is actually like a very gentle, kind person, and usually quite loving. You have to be very empathetic to be a dom as well.
Mhm. And it's like very nurturing role. Like you're there to nurture the person, and even sometimes it can even help heal a person.
Exactly, 100%.
So how would you personally describe a healthy kink dynamic then?
Oh, communication for sure. Like for me, it's like I love the communication aspect to it and the trust. It just really heals like any sort of wounds in that way. Like if you have a trust wound or a core wound of, you've been cheated on and things like that. I think like the communication piece in that, also in the acceptance, like you don't have to be a size 2, blonde, fake boobs, like it's like all shapes and sizes. There's like, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, attraction is obviously in the eyes of the beholder. And, there's also those rumors. It's like, oh, well, it's only ugly people who do kink. And I'm like, I've seen a lot of very gorgeous people at
Yeah,
different places in their kink
absolutely.
lives. Yeah. And it's not just like super hot couples looking for a third. It's like everything, exploring everything. And so, like, I think it's definitely a lifestyle um, that when you get into it, of course, at first it's always intimidating, but you realize like
Yeah.
how accepting the community is, and it can really restore a lot of your own positive self-image.
No, I agree 100%. And what a lot of people don't see is they'll have this misconception that, if someone's into kink, that means that they can't get off doing just regular sex and stuff. And I'm like, that's not at all the meaning behind it. The kink is like so much more healing, especially with healthy kink dynamics where you have that trust, that care, and the aftercare
Hmm.
you described. That was perfect description of aftercare.
Yeah.
And the honesty. Like you can't find communication, trust, and honesty in regular vanilla relationships the way you can in kink relationships.
Yeah, 100%. 100% agree.
So, what is kink to you personally? Is it like a therapy, hobby, fun, lifestyle, or something else?
All of the above. Like I think it's a little bit of everything. Like I think a community too for sure. But yeah, like I think at different aspects it's been all of those things for me. Definitely fun, I will say. And I think yeah, it's definitely like it's got the healing aspect. Um Less of a hobby. I think you have to commit to it. You can't really just go in like half-ass and be like, okay, I'm gonna do this. You have
And
to
that's kind
like
of when it like narrows into that performative kink
exactly.
boundaries. Yeah.
Exactly. And so yeah, don't I don't think that's yeah, that's anything. But yeah, I think it's been all of those things for me at some point, except for a hobby.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think one of the biggest things too for a healthy dynamic and for people that have been in this like you and I a long time, one things that we've learned is most essential is educating yourself. Like if you're interested in kink, if you want to get to know about it, educate yourself. What on
Yeah.
what's out there on the dynamics. Don't just assume, never make assumptions. If you don't know something, ask. This community is
Yes.
so welcoming, like you said. So
Yeah.
all someone has to do is go and be like, hey, what is this? What is that?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Everyone's like pretty open to be like, if you're just like, I'm new, um, everyone's pretty nice. Obviously be careful because there's a few people who
Yeah,
make
always vet your
for
sources too.
yes, always, always.
Because you don't want to end up with like someone who's doing performative kink and tells you the wrong thing, because that can actually be incredibly dangerous. You
Oh my
always
God.
want to make sure safety is number one.
Oh my God. Yes, agreed.
And then what resources are actually available for education that you know of, and how do people access those? Like books, workshops, munches, those kind of things.
Um, I like FetLife because I think like
Yeah.
everything kind of is housed on FetLife. There's obviously some pros and cons to FetLife. But it is
Especially,
a really,
yeah.
yeah, there are, especially as a woman, sometimes I find the creator uh favors more men if there's complaints than the woman.
Yeah.
But yeah. There's been rumors of that for a while, but I still think it's a great place to meet people, especially if you're dabbling, like if you're trying to like figure things out, like it's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Kind of exploring, and then you feel less uncomfortable trying to learn things, and like they have the Kinctionary, and yeah, I think there's a lot there. And then books, I always love the Ethical Slut is one of my favorite books.
That's
It's
a good one.
it's so good. It is about polyamory, but it's also got a lot of other stuff in it.
Yeah.
Um in Canada, we have something called the Taboo Show. So those are great places to meet people in person. Also, they have a lot of like educational talks. And yeah, so I do like that. Obviously, if you're looking online for like vetted educators, looking at like therapists, sex therapists, there's a lot of them. Like my therapist is uh like um sorry, kink informed, so she's a part of the kink community as well, and so she understands all of the different dynamics, and I think that's really important. Um yeah, I think that's like kind of the majority of my
Yeah, no, I'm on FetLife too. I've been on FetLife since it was a baby website, like maybe 2, 3 years old. And
oh my gosh.
I think one of the things I absolutely love about FetLife is there's events on there. And some of the
Yes.
events are just in vanilla settings. Like you go to a bar and you just hang out with a bunch of like-minded people. It's the perfect space for people
Yeah.
that are new and getting into it to ask questions or just meet new people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Agreed.
And then FetLife is also what I love about FetLife too, for anybody that doesn't know, is it's worldwide. So it's not just local to one
Mm-hmm.
like local community. It's in Ireland. It's all over the world.
Everywhere. Yeah, you can I remember like looking at like South Florida, Miami area,
Yeah.
and they have some cool clubs down there.
Yep, absolutely. And then here, and for anybody in Ohio listening, there is also, and in the US, there is clubs. They're not sex clubs, but they are like kink friendly clubs. Like, we have Club Princeton, who it is a swingers club, but there's private events that are held up for just the kink community upstairs. You can find those events on FetLife. And then there's Ohana's, Wicked Eden, and a
Ooh.
couple of different places like that, but they're all on FetLife in the events section. And you do have to register to be a member. So it's an incredibly safe space for kink people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds great.
And then what do you think someone should understand before touching another person?
Ooh, consent. Definitely understand what consent is, and understand what they're interested in. Definitely have like a really good talk, about, the green light, yellow light, red light, as they say. So uh what you're interested in, what you're thinking about being interested in, and what is a definite hard no for you.
Yeah.
Um, I always love it. Like every club that I've been to, it's like if it's not a fuck yes, it's a no.
Yeah.
So it's a no if someone's not interested. Doesn't mean anything about you. It just means that they're just not interested. And so you have to respect that. There's no, consensual non-consent without having a consensual conversation about it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just don't touch anyone who doesn't want to be touched.
Yeah. And don't try to be coercive either. A no is a no, flat out. You take that no and
Literally.
you accept it.
Yeah, no is no.
What responsibility would you say people have before involving others?
Um, do you mean on like a relationship wise or?
Like, what responsibility would someone like maybe even a new dom or femdom have before involving us up? Like, what is their responsibility?
Oh, yeah. You have to understand the dynamic through and through, understand what your role is, understanding how to set up a scene, understanding aftercare, very important. And like knowing what limits are. If you're an impact dom or like you do needle play or anything that could potentially harm an individual, even if they want it, fire play is another big one. You still need to understand the mechanics and the medical information behind that because things can go wrong. Even with
Yeah.
ropes, I'm sure, like,
Yeah,
things can go
absolutely.
wrong. So it's
Yeah.
understanding.
Even with rope, you have safety shears in case it does go wrong to just cut the rope mid scene.
Exactly. So you have to know, like, before you involve another person, how you can keep that person safe and what your responsibility is there for sure.
Yeah. So basically, education, education, educate yourself.
10 out of 10, yes.
Yeah. If someone listening is curious but hesitant because of what they've heard, what's the first thing you would want them to understand, or what is one thing you would want to say to them?
Um, you're just always in control. You can control any part of a situation that you're a part of, whether you're the dom or sub, swinging, role play, needles, all of the things. They all sound scary.
Yeah.
But once you get into it, and once you have a person or a community that you can talk to about these things, um, it always allows for you to really find what you're interested in. And so I think just understanding that you're the boss, no matter what, of your own body,
Yeah.
and you're the boss of what you get into, um, really takes away kind of the hesitance piece because it's like, oh, wait, like I can leave if I don't like this. Again, if you're in a healthy, real kink situation, not the performative kink. So
Yeah.
just again, education for sure. But also like the community is so accepting. It's so amazing. Like it's
Yeah.
so,
And
so
they even
amazing.
like create spaces where people who want to learn about something first before trying it can come and watch. You can come and watch a scene with other people doing what you're considering being interested in.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and then if anyone in the comments has any questions for you, would you be open to answering questions in the comments?
Absolutely.
Okay. Is there any final thought or closing note you want to leave listeners with today?
I think don't judge a book by its cover because I've seen some very powerful men who wear business suits all the time but have a cock chastity belt underneath. So
Yeah.
like a cock cage underneath. So don't feel like you have to look a certain way. Again, like you can just be yourself. And I think like, you would probably be shocked at how many people are actually in the community, how quote unquote normal they are. And it could be your next door neighbor.
Yeah.
So
It could be your
Yeah.
doctor.
It could be. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So many doctors love a good dom. That's for sure.
Oh
Real
yeah.
estate agents. Oh
And
my
there's
gosh.
even medical room playrooms too, which is super cool.
Yeah. Medical play. That's really coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've seen a couple rooms in clubs in Berlin. Um,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
well, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. It was so great getting to sit down with you and have this important conversation. That's all I have for today. Thank you again for stepping into the den with me, Alex.
Thank you so much.
Being a princess, I'd rather be a witch. Spit that curse, make the heavens glitch. You want calm, I want storm.
Next up, we have Mistress Bec. Welcome to the Pride Lands of Lioness Ink and Insight, Mistress Bec. Before we get into it, I would love for you to introduce yourself in whatever way feels comfortable. I'd love to hear who you are in your vanilla life if you want to share that. If not, totally okay. Otherwise, just share your role in the kink community, how long you've been a part of it, and a bit about your experience.
Hi, I am Bec, Mistress Bec, for the kinky folks. I'm a pretty normal, everyday person in my regular life. From the outside perspective, I do a lot of like office work, things like that. Transitioning into more professional kink work. So hopefully that's gonna come along soon. And, otherwise, I'm just, I'm a mom. I'm a rescue dog mom also, and, I just, your average Minnesotan. So, I pretty typical 50-year-old woman. I've been in kink for just over 2 years that I've been active in the community. Um, I knew I
Sure.
was kinky before, but, I didn't really know about this whole community-wide thing that, everybody was a part of, and so I found, FetLife, and then I found, the community of folks around here, and so it's only been about 2 years, but, I jumped in head first and just kinda ran with it, once I found it, it was like, "Oh, this is amazing, I love all of this stuff." Um, Everybody's so nice, and, I've learned a lot in a very short amount of time. Um,
Yeah, because for 2 years in the kink community, that's a lot. Like you learn
yeah,
so much in just 1 week, let alone two
yeah,
whole years.
yeah, you really if you're paying attention and you're asked the right questions of the right people, you can really learn a lot. Yeah, especially just kind of paying attention to people's behaviors and the way they do things. But yeah, I started off with just kind of navigating what everything was, and I did a lot of Googling about what terms meant what, and I had no idea some of these terms, and so I would just look things up, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds interesting. Let me write that down for later," you know? I found BDSM, like impact and things like that, probably about, I want to say 4 months in, and really ran with that because that became very enjoyable for me. Learned that I definitely am a sadist. I love that. And I like having submissives and I do some local shows here for BDSM and yeah, that's kind of all of that.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. What misconceptions about kink do you think you most often see since you've been active in it?
A lot of the misconceptions I see are either they think everybody that is in kink is a broken individual, that have had some kind of a terrible upbringing and past trauma, and they're just this broken person, and that's why they need kink. That is not true. There's so many quote unquote regular people that don't have trauma, that are in kink and like to explore it. being in kink does not make you defective or does not mean that you had a terrible upbringing or, things like that. That's a big one I've seen a lot of lately. Another one is that it's all like sexual deviance
Yes.
because it's not,
Right.
it's not about sexual deviance. I mean, of course, certain kinks are, of course they are, but
Yeah.
not all kink, not all kink.
And it doesn't, and there's a lot of it that doesn't even involve sex at all.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's another misconception that I've seen quite a bit too is when it comes to like BDSM scenes and things like that, there's a lot of people that think that an impact scene needs to end with orgasms for whoever, either the top or the bottom or both, right? It doesn't there doesn't need to be sex. When I started doing BDSM, I would be doing scenes with multiple people in an evening and there was no sex, there was no sexual contact. It was just impact. Um People assume that BDSM equals sex
Yeah.
or sex equals kink or kink equals sex or kink equals abuse, right? Like
Oh my gosh, the abuse myth is such a controversial one. I can't stand that one.
it very much is, but also at the same time, a lot of people do use it to be abusive, which is
Yeah.
terrible. But the main consensus that every like DS dynamic or DS, MS relationship or things like that are only abusive is ridiculous. It's no different than a vanilla relationship, right? It depends on the people. And
Exactly.
you could have a perfectly healthy couple are in a DS dynamic, a dominant submissive dynamic, and it's perfectly healthy and more meaningful than a vanilla relationship. And you can have two people in a vanilla relationship where it's terribly abusive. So one does not equal the other in that regard, and that's a terrible misconception as well. I find relationships within kink to be a lot more meaningful if it's the right person and the communication is good, obviously. But I find them to be more fulfilling than vanilla relationships because people are more open. They're more willing to share. They're not afraid to share the deeper parts of themselves because it's more accepted in kink to share the taboo things. And in vanilla, you're taught, oh, you shouldn't talk about those things. That's not okay. Or, ooh, it's a shame, be shamed and feel terrible for having those thoughts. And that's just ridiculous. I find them to be more meaningful. Kink relationships have always
Yeah.
been.
No, I absolutely agree. And I think that's one of the things that people don't realize is that kink is more about like freedom of expression than it is everything else that is stereotyped. How do you
Mhm.
think, so like we talked about the misconceptions and stereotypes and stuff. How do you think those ways of misconcepting kink are spread around right now?
I think it's from just a general lack of understanding, and I think a lot of folks that try to tampen down like your sexual freedom. I've heard ridiculous comments before, but
Oh yeah.
I think it's spread that way and through the media and silly movies that they make about it.
Oh my gosh, 50 Shades. You were probably weren't around FET before that. So I've been
I
around
wasn't
FET
on set for 50
since,
Shades, but I have seen 50 Shades.
oh my God. I've been around
That
FET since 2014, and the
oh,
era before 50 Shades was a
mhm.
beautiful. It was everything you could ever dream of, the key community being everything it needed to be. Then 50 Shades came out, and it just flooded with people doing it for the hype. So that kind of brings me to my next question. So why are all those misconceptions harmful, not just socially, but to people actually practicing kink?
Well, they're harmful because I think a lot of people then feel even more shame because they have all of this misconception going on that it's shameful, that's not right, that it's you're some kind of sexual deviant for having these ideas or these thoughts or because you want to experience these sexual things. And that makes people feel more shame and more closeted and more depressed And I think it leads to a lot of identity crises and a lot of depression, and a lot of people end up feeling like they're just robots, going through life and not being able to express themselves. I think it's very harmful to tell people what they should and shouldn't try because you don't like it. It's not up to you what other people do. It's let people just express themselves however they want to, as long as they're not harming people. Um, I think it does a lot of harm in the fact that it keeps people in a very shameful mindset. All the misconceptions, they perpetuate that kind of abuse cycle where we force people into this little box that we want them to be in, that we want them to fit into.
One thing I've also noticed, with the misconceptions, we talked about like the whole 50 Shades and how it flooded with people doing it for the hype. When someone's doing it just for the hype, it's basically called performative kink. It's not genuine practicing kink. So to you, Beck, what is the difference between practicing kink and performing it?
Performative is more, uh, we want people to think we're doing this way, or I want people to think that I'm this type of person. So, it can range from short little stage performances to people that are just online being performative in the sense of they make a profile where they say they're a submissive, or they make a profile where they say they're a femdom, but they're not a dominant person in real life. They're just acting.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like for
I've seen
entertainment purposes.
for entertainment and to make money, and
Yeah.
more power to them. I've seen that a few times, and there's a big difference between being a femdom, a dominant female in general in your whole life and in your personality versus playing one on TV, right? Living it is would be the equivalent of me having my submissive that I had for almost 2 years, where we had an ongoing relationship where it was a constant power exchange. There was rules put in place, and there was specific ways of communication, and there were things that couldn't be done, and there was specific habits that he would need to come over and do, and we had rituals and things like that. It's living it is when you and your person decide that this is going to be the way you interact with each other on an ongoing basis versus the 5, 10, 20 minutes when we're out at night.
Yeah.
Uh, you have your online people that fake it too, um, couples and things and in dynamics online just for clicks and likes and just like anything else.
Yeah, and that kind of actually led right perfectly into my next question of how performative kink can be dangerous.
Yeah, the best example of that I can give you is because I see it all the time. And when it comes to femdoms and like male submissives, female submissives, things like that, there's a lot of pornography online that is very performative. It's all very phony. And so you get these younger folks or these new people to kink that come into this lifestyle, and they think that that's how that is supposed to be, like in a porn. And so I get messages from men all the time that is very sex focused because they think that that's how it's supposed to be, because they've only watched porn and they've only watched the femdom porn, or they've only seen the femdoms online doing the webcams where they're yelling at them all the time and being mean to them all the time. And that's not real life. There's a huge difference between real life kink relationships and this performative um, femdom submissive type relationship, or any other type of kink relationship. But I see it primarily in that way because that's where I am. I as a mistress and a dom, I see it all the time, and they'll write to me and they say things like, "Oh, I want to do anything I can to serve you, and I just want to please you, and I want to be your submissive, and blah 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 blah." And I asked them to explain to me what a day of being in service to me looks like to them. And every single time 9 times out of 10, it is all sexual.
Yeah.
And that's not what that is.
I get that so much too on the opposite end. So I'll have
Mm.
people that'll be like, "Do what I say. I'm your dom now," and that'll be their
Right.
very first message to me, and I'm like, "That is not how any of this works."
Right. Exactly.
How would you then describe a healthy kink dynamic?
A healthy kink dynamic is one where both parties start off knowing that everybody is a human, everybody has wants and needs and desires, and communication is important. Uh,
Absolutely.
Everything should be negotiated. Um, you should start with knowing the basic things that you want, or at least want to explore if you're new, and always reevaluate and always communicate. And if you're trying something with a partner for the first time and you decide you don't really like it, speak up and say you don't like it. And things that you want to try, say you want to try it. If maybe they're on the fence about wanting to try something. And that's okay. Find where your boundaries are, where your limits are. Everybody needs to have boundaries and limits. If you don't, there's something wrong with you. And you need to re-examine those things, because I'll tell you what, if you come to me and say you don't have any boundaries and I can do anything I want to you, you are absolutely going to be sorry you said that.
Absolutely.
I have a lot of things that cause a lot of pain, and you will not be happy. Um,
You can learn your limits very fast if you're a
you will
submissive.
learn.
You tell a dom, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, no, I will make sure you never say that again. Um, Obviously, you're not gonna know to say every single thing that
Right.
you're not gonna be into. Like, who's gonna expect somebody else to shave their eyebrows off? You know what I mean?
Right.
So you're not gonna know to say that, but you need to be able to have basic boundaries. Like, I don't want any permanent marks. I don't want any of my hair to be cut off. I don't want any scarring or anything that I can't wash off reasonably soon, you know?
Yeah.
I don't want any marks that can be seen, so they have to be able to be hidden by clothing. Even just start with basic things like that. You should always at least have basic things like that. And sometimes you don't know until it happens either, to say it, but,
And you always have the freedom to speak up in a scene too. Like if you find
always.
a limit mid scene, speak up.
Oh, absolutely. The worst thing you can do to yourself and to your partner is to not say anything. If
Yep.
you are uncomfortable, if you don't like something, I don't care if we just started or if we're 30 minutes in. If something happens and you are not happy, and or you're in pain or you don't like it or you're getting triggered, please, please stop it, because trust me when I tell you, as a top, as a dom, I don't wanna permanently damage somebody. I don't wanna mentally damage somebody. I don't wanna traumatize anybody. I would feel horrible if after the scene was over and you said, "Boy, I really didn't like that." That I would feel absolutely terrible that we continued doing that and I did not know that you didn't like it, you know?
Yeah, it
Uh,
puts the top in a really bad position when the bottom doesn't speak up because
it
that
really
puts them in an unfair spot to have to live with that afterwards, not just
Right.
yourself.
Right, right. Yeah, you end up living with the fact that you endured something that you were not comfortable with, and then your top is living with the fact that you did something to somebody that they didn't want.
Yeah.
And that's not a fun place to be in. Either place is not a good place to be in. I like to have people give me a list, when especially when it's first time people that I'm gonna be doing a scene with. I usually go with the green list, the yellow list, and the red list. Red is absolutely not, we're not doing any of this. Green is, I know I like these things, and yellow is things I wanna try. And that gives me a good idea of where they're at, what they like, what they're thinking about, and then I can kinda go from there, and I can kinda gauge where I think somebody's gonna end up and what might be fun or what might work, or also for the top too, like, you have to be able to say no. There's things that I won't use, things I won't do, and I'll just tell somebody, "No, I'm sorry, that's just not what I do." I don't use big floggers, for example. Everybody wants to be flogged, you know? I don't do that. They're heavy, they hurt my wrists, they make me
Yeah.
tired. I'm not gonna do that, you know? So I'll tell people, I'm sorry, I'm not your gal if you want to be flogged all the time. If you want a nice stingy implement that's gonna hurt and leave a nice welt, hey, come on, let's go. But you know, I learned to say no, and you got to say no to scenes. If somebody asks you if they can do a scene with you and you're not comfortable or you're not sure, just say no. If they have a problem with it, that's their problem. Never be afraid to say no to anybody as a top or a bottom. I've had to say no to people. I've told people no, I won't do scenes with them. I do it in the gentlest way possible because I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings, but
Right.
sometimes the vibe's just not right, you know?
And that's completely okay. I mean, just like in vanilla relationships, you go on a date with somebody and you realize, yeah, this isn't for me. It's the same
Right.
situation, but more
Yeah.
communicative and open and honest. So, Beck,
Mhm.
what is kink to you personally? Is it therapy, a hobby, fun, a lifestyle, or something else?
You know, it's kind of all of the above, to be honest with you. It's definitely more than a hobby, but I like to practice it on a regular basis. I like to have an ongoing submissive relationship with somebody where I have the submissive. I find it cathartic for me and like therapeutic in a sense to have that power exchange dynamic in my life. It helps with my own personal trauma from childhood and things like that, and helps me to learn to stand in my power as a woman and feel like I'm getting walked on in life, things like that. You know, little aspects of kink have really helped me overcome a lot of different things. I like it as a lifestyle. I would do it every day for a living, you know, if I could. And I find the relationships much more fulfilling. I don't ever want a vanilla date again. So I would guess I would have to say it's pretty much a lifestyle at this point.
Newbies that are not aware of or are listening to this and want to know more, what are some resources that you know of that are available so they can educate themselves properly?
I think some of the best things to do are finding out your local community and going to munches and group events. I would highly suggest not doing one-on-one things right away when you first start because there's a lot of manipulative people in the world. But you can find a lot of nice community events or community groups. You could do research online. You could join the groups online on FetLife. You could just join the groups on there. You don't even have to go anywhere in person if you don't want to. There's some good books. There's some good audiobooks out there that I've read. I've gotten some from Amazon too for like femdom, FLR relationships, things like that.
You're going to get a whole bunch of different information. You'll be able to tell after talking to so many different people and educating yourself so much and getting in the community. It's exposure that's going to help you learn what's real and what's not, and
For sure.
what's, the healthy way to do things and the unhealthy way. So you're going to get misinformation and all that, but you'll learn as you go what that
Mhm.
misinformation was.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And always just try to remember that just because somebody says they've been doing this for 25 years doesn't mean they know what they're doing, or
Yeah.
doesn't mean that they're right or their way is the best. And just because somebody's new doesn't mean that they are inherently evil and you should stay away from them. And ask around for references. Ask other people in the community, you know, who's a safe person to learn, etc. from, you know. Just be careful. When I joined kink at first I was like, "Boy, this is amazing. This is so great. Everybody is so open and it communicates so well and everybody's so honest." And it was like you kind of go into it and you're very wide-eyed and it's like all this wonderful stuff is out here for me to learn and explore. Just keep in mind you are still dealing with human beings and you're still gonna run into ones that lie to you, that are deceitful, that are not honest, that are manipulative. They are still out there. That was one thing that I took for granted when I first started, and I had these rose-colored glasses on, you know, I just was looking at it like, "Wow, this is this wonderful world that I've just stumbled into," and you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I just kinda let my guard down with it and like, "Oh, everybody's so honest. Obviously, nobody's lying to me."
Oh my gosh, I remember that.
But that's not reality. It's not reality. So you still have to be on guard. You can get kind of swept up in all of it when you first get into the community because there's so many wonderful things and so many wonderful people. But you also have to remember there are still really shitty ones out there and you still have to be careful.
What should someone understand before touching another person if they want to dive into kink? Like for any, like I said, anyone listening that maybe is like, I think this is for me. What's something you think they should understand before ever touching anyone as a submissive or dominant?
You always have to ask somebody before you touch them, period. Always. You can't it's so different when you go to a party here, you can't just walk up to somebody, pat them on the shoulder and say, "Hey, how you doing?" You can't do that. You cannot put your hands on people um without asking them first. And that's one thing that was a little bit hard for me to get used to because I always just touch somebody on the shoulder or, "Hi, how are you?" and or touch their arm or something. And I really had to work on not doing that because you really cannot do that in this
Yeah.
community. Consent is key. So the biggest thing before touching anybody is you have to talk to them and find out where you can touch them, how you can touch them, how hard you can touch them. Uh, a lot of people have trauma, so you want to know if there's any place you you should avoid, any words or phrases you should avoid. People get triggered by, certain names that they're called, or you always want to make sure you know what pronouns they want to use. Um, it's, I would say, if I was to give you a short, basic intro list, I would say before you do a scene with somebody, you ask them, "What would you like me to call you? What are your pronouns? Is there anything I should not say that is going to trigger you or harm you in any way? Is there any place on your body that I should not touch you, that you don't want to be touched, or you have any injuries to? Also, what does it look like when you need to be done? Or do you become nonverbal? Do you continue to communicate? That kind of a thing. And then what do you need for aftercare? Because a lot of people don't know what aftercare is, and I didn't at first either. A lot of people need to sit with you for a little bit and come back to reality and just have a conversation, or they need a cuddle, or they need a cookie and some water. And a lot of people won't know the answer to these questions, but by asking them, you make them think about it. And that's what's important is you want people to think about what they're doing, what they're about to do, and what they're about to do with you. And you also need to think about those things as well. So it's important to ask those, at least those basic questions before engaging in some kind of scene activity with another person. If it's a sexual activity, then you should want to know your risk assessment. Have they had their tests done recently? Are we using barriers? Are we using condoms? Things like that. What's on the table and off the table. There's a wide range depending on what you're about to be doing with somebody. But safety first. Pay attention to your gut. Always know that you can say no. And if you're at a party, know who the moderators are and who to go to if there's a problem. Those would be my best my best top things to say to somebody brand new going to a party or a scene.
Is there any final thoughts or closing note that you would like to leave listeners with today, Beck?
Yeah, I would love to say that just because you want to be a submissive or you want to engage in as a submissive in a relationship, that does not mean that they get to treat you like a doormat. That does not mean that you don't have a say. And it does not mean that they get to treat you like crap or belittle you or make you feel like you are not important. You have choices, you have rights, you have rules that you can put in place of what you will and won't do. Don't let somebody convince you that just because you want to be a submissive means that you are going to now be walked all over by them, because that is not it. You have, they need to show you respect. And if they don't, they are not a good dominant, and probably not one at all. There's a lot of, dare I say, fuck boys out there. I don't know if I could say that, but
Yeah, I got stuff here all the time.
there's okay, good. Cool, because I've been holding it in. Oh god, yeah. No, there's a lot of fuck boys out there that say that they're a dom and they're not. And there's a lot of equally shitty women out there that claim to be a dom that just want to be abusive to men because they had bad relationships, things like that. You need to be respected in whatever relationship that you're in, and if you're not getting respect, it's not the right relationship, period.
If anyone listening has questions about anything you've said or we've talked about today, would you be willing to answer their questions if they ask them in the comments?
Oh, of course.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Bec, for taking the time to chat with me today. It was so great getting to sit down with you and have this important conversation. I will be seeing you on FET.
All right, sounds great. Thank you.
I crack bones just to be reborn.
To close out this episode and kick off Valentine's Day weekend, our last conversation is with Dom Buddha. Let's dive in. Before we get into it, I would love for you to introduce yourself in whatever way feels comfortable, share your role in the kink community, how long you've been a part of it, and a bit about your experience.
Okay, well, I'm Buddha. I also go by Scott. Um, I am a top, a dominant. My favorite word, I'm a corrupter. And I've been doing this since about 1987. It started with fun dates and things that happened. And as it grew, I've grown into more of the community, especially here in Columbus, and picked up a lot of different experiences. So I do a little bit of everything. I'm as I said, a top, but I'm a moderator. Along with a partner, I do the Kinky Roundtable, and it's a discussion that we do once a month here in Columbus. It's been going on for over a year, and it's a really good thing. It was started by someone else, and they got burnt out. It's a lot to put together for an educational type thing, and we really enjoy doing it. So I was not going to let it die. So we are reviving it with the blessing of the people that started it.
That's amazing. That's one of the things we actually are going to discuss about is education in the kink community. But first, I do want to ask, what misconceptions about kink do you see most often in your years in the community?
Well, my time in the community, I see a lot of the media and the general public. It's either we're torturing people or it's a joke and it's a comedy. Oh, they get out their little floggers and hit people. So it's one or the other. They don't quite understand what actually kink is. And so it means different things to different people, relationships, and all sorts of different ideas. But we often hear, oh, they're freaks. Okay, well, I'm proud to be a freak, but I do things that you may not like or may not want to ever do. And then, we get a bad name because there's a lot of people out there that say they're into kink and all they're really into is I want to have sex with somebody.
Yep.
And that can be really scary to people because they think it's easy and it's not. And I usually throw my two biggest words out right away. The kink community is about consent. Consent, and safety. And those are things that are never looked at from the public side. They just think we go wild on each other and do whatever we want. And we don't. Everything is consented to.
That's exactly one of the reasons I wanted to have this conversation with various people in the kink community, is because I wanted to shine light on that, and I wanted to crush the stereotypes and just show everybody like kink without the bullshit, like it's called. So why do you think those misconceptions are harmful, like not just socially, but to people that are actually practicing kink?
Well, you can go with the two main. There's your physical health and your mental health. Um, I have a degree in health. So I'm pretty educated on the body, what functions and these type things. And you can harm someone because you just don't know what you're doing. Oh, well, I'm a dom and I'm going to hit somebody. Well, where are you hitting them? Do you know what you're going to do? Are you hitting a nerve area? Are you hitting major organs? I mean, I've seen people hit people in the kidney, and
Oh
that's
my
not a
gosh.
target spot. So
No.
it's there are things to do. And going about it, when I got more into the community, I started taking classes from people who have been doing it longer than me and learning the safety points and being smart about things, because there are certain kinks that are very dangerous. Fire, wax, those are really things that you can, scar or injure somebody badly. Um, Couple other things would be edge play with knives, um, rope. You're touching nerves all throughout the body and learning how to tie it taut where it needs to be. And if you're near a nerve group, especially like the wrists or the ankles, those are things that you have to pay really good attention to. And so those are my biggest harmful ways people can hurt. Uh, but I also say safety. A lot of people come in here with no experience, and whoever's the first person to tell them, oh, this is great, I know what I'm doing, and they don't, and they can get themselves in deep trouble. It is a situation where you need to be aware. You hear buyers beware, players beware. If you're going to get involved, learn, become educated before you get out.
Absolutely. So, and I know one of the things that you had mentioned in the beginning of our chat was about people who come in and pretend that they know what they are. So, I've been kind of referring to that as performative kink. So, what is the difference between practicing kink and performing it?
Well, the performative kink, I call those, in from the one side, the fuck boys. Um, they say they know what they're doing. They just want to have sex. They're rough sex.
Yep.
They just want to do stuff for their gain.
Yeah.
Um, I believe people who perform kink, who are involved in the whole community, um, you do it for two reasons. You may do it for, and I have a big list of things I could talk about, but you do it for, helping, service. A lot of kink is involved with, relationships. Um, Actually performing it and doing everything again goes back to the education piece. Learn about what you want to do. I do impact, and I know a lot about impact. I do sensual play. You've learned where the sensual parts of the body are. There are 7 senses you can work with. They're really fun. Um, and it's important to learn your craft. And I say craft, it is a craft to me.
What are some of the true kink dynamics that you know of?
True kink dynamics. Well,
Yes.
I have about 30 written down today. And the major dynamics, with a partner, you have a master or mistress and a slave. That's MS. The DS, capital D, little s, dominant, submissive. There's primal and prey. There's the femdom, rope bunnies and rope riggers, and those are great. I know people who tie for suspension and
Mhm.
just different kinds of ties that put you in predicament, or some of them are soothing. The
Yeah.
first tie I saw in person, someone was drinking coffee in a seated position, suspended 4 feet off the ground.
Yep.
And they were very comfortable and it looked so beautiful.
Yeah, I do rope and I do it solely non-sexually just for that purpose. Like just
Right,
it's like a hug that won't let go and you know won't let go. Like you know when the hug is gonna end and then you just feel like so comforted. It's like
right.
the kink version of a weighted blanket.
Yes, it is. And I know some people that love the weighted blankets as much as they love the rope.
Yep.
They like that enclosure.
How would you describe a healthy kink dynamic?
A healthy kink dynamic is open communication, negotiation. You need to negotiate, you need to communicate. Consent is everything. So once you reach out to someone you get involved with, you talk, you learn about them, just like any other regular relationship, you become friends, you learn about each other, you learn what their likes and dislikes are, and you talk about what you want to do, what you don't want to do. Everybody has limits, and everybody has boundaries. Limits are no touchies, and boundaries are, well, I'll do this up to there. And that's all the farther I want to do this. And learning to communicate in any sense, because when you begin playing, you may or may not be in the same mental space as your partner. And you need
Right.
to click on them. You need to communicate. Sometimes they become nonverbal. My last two partners, we have it straight up. We had a nonverbal communication. We had you could tap out, or if they couldn't even move that far, if they put their hand in a fist, I knew I needed to communicate with them right then because they couldn't speak. So it's a lot of work to have a good dynamic.
What is kink to you personally then? Is it therapy, a hobby, fun, a lifestyle, or something else?
It's sort of a lifestyle. Some people need to get out of their headspace, and they go to a place when they are doing kink, and it's some type of mental therapy for them. It's not going to cure anything, but it can help soothe things. I like to say it's a lifestyle. I like it as a community. So I use it as a lifestyle and I want to be in the community. So it's pretty important.
What resources do you know of are actually available that you would be willing to share with anyone that is interested in kink or interested in learning about it?
I've read a lot of books. You can go to the library and get some. Some you can go to bookstores, Amazon, wherever you want to order your books. But there are lots of topics on every subject within kink, from relationships to power exchanges. I have personally picked most of my stuff up from classes. We had Columbus Space. It had events 3 or 4 nights a week. Some were classes, some were, fun. We had body painting. What a fun time. It was so exciting. They had some this year. They had Glow, where you painted ultraviolet stuff on you. They put on the UV lights, and it was really fun. Education on it is really important. But books, the internet has a lot of things out there. Some are a little off kilter, but some aren't. You want to find what you're actually looking for, read about it, talk to people about it. And if you're shy, there are groups. Like I say, we hold the round table. You can come, you can listen, you can talk. You don't have to do anything, but it's a place that you learn. One of the big things in Columbus now is, being accountable for what you do. Are you a good person? Holding yourself responsible, holding the community responsible. It's one of the more popular places to go for people to learn about the community.
You talking about Columbus, Ohio?
Yes.
Okay, just for anyone that doesn't know. So if someone listening decides, okay, like I'm this is really for me, I really want to try this out, what do you think someone should understand before touching another person, whether they believe they're a top or a bottom?
Well, one, you want to find out what you like and what you are. You want to communicate clearly. Some of the first times I play with people, I put all the toys out, everything I have, and say, go through. And if something scares you, pick it up and give it to me, and we'll put it away. You could be terrified of a whip. So I don't want that out there if that's going to weigh on your mind.
That's actually good philosophy, good way to do it.
I always say this: if you're a submissive, you are in charge. You set the tone. You aren't to be talked to in a bad way unless you consent to that, but you have the final say. So stop.
Absolutely.
No. If you have any kind of safe word, the old word was pineapple. That was used so long back into the 90s and 2000s.
Yep, I
So
remember that.
right. It's important to communicate everything, know what you're talking about, know what your safe words are, and when you feel safe with a person, then maybe you can play. Sometimes it takes a month to negotiate with someone. I think it's a good idea because you get to know that person in the meantime. Online, you can talk. I prefer face to face because I want to see your
Yeah.
facial expressions when I say, okay, well, we're going to put wax on and I'm going to take it off with a knife. And if they show grief and fear, maybe the knife is too much and we'll just peel it off.
Yeah, because they could say, yes, let's do that, but their face says something completely different.
Right. Yes, that sounds cool, but my body is going, no, don't you dare do that. So
Right.
it's a 50-50 thing. A lot of people meet online and they don't meet until they actually play. So I do a lot of lunches. I go out with people for coffee and tea, and I drink tea and chat. And there are plenty of different munches that we have around Columbus, Ohio, that you can go. There's a Saturday coffee, a really great place to meet people and talk about things. We have a soup one too. We go out for soup. There's 12 or 14 people that really enjoy it, and we like each other's company. And we're all from different backgrounds and different types and styles of kink. And we just talk about everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Munches are a great stress-free way to go and meet other like-minded people, and it's always usually in a vanilla setting too, so it's the least amount of pressure for even newbies, especially. What responsibility do people have before involving others? Like, if there's someone was like, okay, I want to learn about this, I'm going to go to the resources you said and educate myself. What is a responsibility that they have before going beyond educating themselves and involving other people?
Learning safety protocol. You always meet in a public place with people, not in the middle of a park, not out by a lake, not at somebody's home, but you meet at a public place, restaurants, coffee shops, somewhere there's a lot of people. When you do meet, make sure a friend knows A, where you're going, when you're going to be done. Going to a bar is not always the best place to meet people. I usually refrain from any kind of intoxicant when you're meeting people. You don't play on your meeting night or day, and keeping yourself safe. Be aware of your surroundings.
Is there any final thought or closing note you would like to leave listeners with today?
I would leave them with the community is overall a good community, but online, you can't believe everybody at face value. You need to dig deep. You need to learn about them. If you are on a website and their profile is empty, beware. But remember, consent is everything.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. If anyone listening has questions about anything you said, would you be willing to answer their questions if they ask them in the comments?
Sure.
Perfect. So if anyone has any questions for Buddha, just go ahead and leave a comment on the Substack post for it, or even on Spotify, wherever you're listening from. And I will tag him or let him know, hey, someone had a comment for you. And he'll answer as best as he can. Well, thank you so much, Buddha, for taking the time to chat with me today. It was so great getting to sit down with you and have this important conversation. Everything you said was really well thought out, so I really appreciate it.
I don't need a crown to touch the stars. I'll kiss the dark. I'll bless the pain.
That concludes this episode on Kink and the Kink community. For anyone curious, drop those comments. Alex, Mistress Bec, and Buddha will be responding, and I'm also open to any questions you might have. Happy Valentine's Day, and in case anyone doesn't know, you can celebrate loving yourself on V-Day. Take yourself to dinner, buy yourself chocolates, celebrate you.
Make the heavens glitch. You want calm, I want stone. I crack bones just to be reborn.
That's all for today. Thank you again for stepping into the den with me. And listeners, don't forget, I want to hear from you. So drop a comment or hit my DMs with conversation topics you want to hear or even be a part of. Your voice is valuable too. Let's work together to bring humanity into conversations and talk about what it means to build something honest in a tough world. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the many conversations I can't wait to have with you. You can subscribe for free or support the show even further with a paid subscription that gives you immediate access to exclusive content and special extras. As always, whether you've already clawed your way out of the darkness in your life or are still trapped inside, I'm here. Through Lioness Ink and Insight, I'll sit with you and paint a star of light in it to keep you company. You're not alone anymore. You're a member of my pride now, and I'll be the loud, fierce centennial holding a quiet space of healing for you, an escape from the darkness as you find your way to the light. Thank you for tuning in and joining me in the Pride Lands of Lioness Ink and Insight. Until next time, stay real, stay weird, stay fierce.